Hi there, my name is Shukla, and I like to say namaste and welcome to Financial Chakras Abundance Through Alignment podcast. And my friend, today we are going to have a great time. Many times we have children, or you may be a child yourself, you may be a high schooler who is looking to go into college, and you're looking for money, and you're thinking, okay, how do I find money? And you might be a parent who is worried about how does my child go to college, and how can I minimize my expenses. And today's podcast is going to be exactly about that. I'm going to show you guys exactly what alignment that this next guest did in order for her to go to, not only go to college, but she received over $650,000 in scholarships, and we're going to be diving into that, and I'm so excited to discuss this topic with you. So here we go. With that in mind, please help me welcome Dr. Crystal Harrell. Hi, Dr. Crystal. How are you?
Hi, Ash. I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing good. Thank you. First of all, thank you so much for being here today. I really appreciate you.
Of course, it's honestly a pleasure to be here. I love talking about this, so I could talk to you all day about it.
Yes, absolutely, my friend. So first of all, before we get started, right? Please tell us, where are you from, and tell us a little bit about you.
Yeah, so I'm originally from Alabama, which is a state in the southern part of the United States. I was born in a small town called Ozark to 10. So I'm the seventh born child out of 10 children. My parents were both ministers in the South, and we grew up going to church pretty much every day. So we were raised in faith. And yeah, I guess I was always kind of curious about the process of acquiring my education and going to school. So that journey was one that was super transformative.
I love that. So you have 10 brothers and sisters total? You guys are 10?
Yeah, we're 10, and we were all raised together. So that was an
Wow.
interesting
I
childhood.
love that. Okay. Well, so that being said, big family, first of all,
Yes.
congratulations. So how many sisters and how many brothers?
So my mom had seven girls and three boys.
Wow.
Mhm.
Okay. So tell us a little bit about Alabama. I've never been to Alabama. What is it like to be in Alabama?
It's different. it's um
Okay.
it's a rural state. Like there's not much. I mean, we have some big colleges like Auburn, Alabama, Tuskegee. Like we have some notable colleges out there, but as far as like events and different things, not much.
Not much.
Um, but because I had such a big family growing up, we always had a lot of fun. We were always making up games, and we were outside. I grew up in the generation where we were always outside. We didn't really have cell phones like they have now, or technology like they have now. So we were outside playing.
I love that. Okay. So did you play in a dirt, like, in a dirt all the time?
We did. We used to make dirt balls. So
Yeah.
I grew up in public housing. So public housing is like, it's government housing. So
Sure.
the living conditions were not always the best. But we had this big dirt pile
Mhm.
or dirt
Yeah.
field
Yeah.
behind our house, and we used to take the dirt and make dirt balls out of it, and try to also make, like, I guess, dirt men, like equivalent
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
snowmen,
Yeah.
because we
Yeah.
don't get
Yeah.
much
Yeah.
snow.
Okay.
So
I
yeah.
love that. I love it. Just so you know, Dr. Kishore, I grew up in India, and it
Yeah.
was something similar. Like we had a lot of dirt roads, right? And I had no slippers, or
Yeah.
I mean, no shoes basically, and we were on flip flops most of the time. And
Oh.
literally, like we would go down and we would play in the dirt. And I think that's the best time. So, did you guys play this game where you take a tire, like a tire of like a bicycle, right? And you take a little stick and you run with it like this, you run with it.
No, but I know what you're talking about. I've seen it done before. We used to take tires, and we used to actually like get inside them, like the big tires, and we
Yeah.
used to roll down the hill inside them, which is a lot more dangerous.
Okay.
But it was so much fun. It was
So
so
you
much
get
fun.
into the tire and then you roll yourself.
Yeah, because we lived on a hill, so
Okay.
so we would like get at the top of the hill, and we would get inside of the tire. Usually, it was like a bigger tire,
Wow.
and then we just get inside, and then like one of the our brothers or sisters would like roll us down the hill.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, and hopefully, I'm really surprised we didn't get even more hurt than we did. Like I broke my thumb before. I had a sister who ran into the wall on her bike because she was going down the hill on her bike and didn't know how to use the brakes. So we got hurt a lot, but we had so much fun.
I love that. Thank you so much for that. See, so from that childhood that you grew up in, right? What were some of the things you learned from your childhood that really made you who you are today?
Man, like I learned so much from growing up, where I grew up and how I grew up. I guess like the number one thing I learned is how to really stay disciplined and how to really um, rely on a lot of the resilience that my parents had to pull on to raise such a big family and not have the type of resources that were really necessary to have that many kids and support them. But my parents were innovative. Like didn't matter how much food we had in the fridge, my mom always found a way to make a meal. And I think that just seeing that and seeing how they had to really make something out of nothing, that's something I carried with me my entire life, was how to create. That creative aspect is something was one of the biggest lessons I learned.
Mm, okay. Yeah. Wow. How about that, right?
Yeah.
It made you resilient, and
Yeah.
it made you street smart in many
Yeah.
ways, right?
Yeah.
So many times, I will say that those of you listening, I want you to know that as we are talking about this, it is so important to understand internally, who you are and how you grew up and how those things come in handy. Because what we are about to embark on as a journey, and Dr. Crystal received over $650,000 in the scholarship money, and partially has to do with her growing up. And it's important to know that many times we discount our upbringings, and it's actually the blessings that you may be looking for. And
Mm.
so if you are the kind of person who is looking for something, go back to your past and really see. Dr. Crystal, in this case, grew up with brothers and sisters. Obviously, it sounds like they were all rambunctious. So
Yes.
that's good news.
Yes. It was like an episode. It was like living inside of an episode of like Home Alone. Like if that was
Yes,
a series, like Kevin's
yes.
life, that was
Uh-huh.
pretty much it.
I love that, right? But that being said, that's what made you all like very resilient. And
Yes.
resiliency, like internally in your, those of you who don't know what, I'm going to talk about chakras in a second. So when you talk about chakras, there are 7 energetic centers in your body, and these are emotional centers, and these emotional centers govern you in many ways. So that Crystal found her center of who she is, and she is definitely a go-getter, but at the same time she is very resourceful in intellect, if you will. The third eye chakra is really awakened, and that's why you'll see in a second as we talk a little further about how did she receive the scholarship. So let's go into that, Dr. Crystal. So, so let's talk about you in high school, and
Hmm.
you're going through high school, and now all of a sudden, how did you get the idea of getting the scholarships?
Yeah, so it kind of goes back to what you just said about being resourceful. When I was 11, I actually lost my father to a chronic disease. He died from leukemia. And as you can imagine, that event was completely traumatic for my family. My mom was dealing with a lot on her plate, and there were still so many of us who were in the house. And I had an older sister who was attempting to go to college before me, and she was just telling me like, you really need to look for money for school. Like I know I told her that I wanted to go to college when I was in middle school, so she knew that this was a goal for me. But she told me that because she was dealing with so much stress of trying to get grants, and my mom was trying to sign for grants, after filing for bankruptcy, like that was very difficult to go through. And so my older sister told me like, if I can find free money to go to school, then I should, look for it. And so when I got into high school, I was doing sports. So I did a lot of extracurricular activities to kind of get me out of the house. I didn't really like being home a lot. There was a lot of chaos there, as you can imagine. And so I did a lot of extracurricular activities. And one of them I did was cheerleading. And while I was on the cheerleading team, there was a senior at the time. So I was a freshman and she was a senior. And there was word spreading that she had got this free money to go to school, a scholarship. And everyone was talking about it. You know how high school students are. It's like the buzz. It was the buzz around school. And I've always been very observant. I've always kind of listened and also paid attention to my environment. So I'm listening to all these conversations about how she got this money to go to school for 10 years. It was a 10-year scholarship. And I thought that was impossible. Like I had never heard of such a thing. And so I actually thought, okay, well, maybe I should go straight to her to see if this is real. And so I went to her and I asked her about it, and she told me that it was true. She ended up getting what was called the Bill and Melinda Gates Millennium Scholarship, which is a 10-year minority scholarship, full ride scholarship to any school in the country. It's very competitive, but she had gotten the scholarship. And I asked her, what does she have to do to get it? She told me everything I needed to do. She said I had to write 9 essays. She told me that I needed to work on my GPA, so I had to have a very strong GPA. She told me I needed a lot of community service hours. And she even told me which teacher helped her write her essays.
Yeah.
And so she told me that if I was looking to apply for it, that I needed to start focusing on it at that point as a freshman. And so I did. I worked really hard for the next 3 years to get my GPA above a 4.0. So I had a 4.1 and graduated at the top of my class. Ended up doing a lot of community service through ROTC or JROTC at the time, and different community events I would just get involved with. And so I ended up applying for it. And the year I applied, there were over 25,000 applicants. And then I ended up making it to the finalists with 2,000, and then getting to the 1,000 who ended up getting it that year. And that was 2013.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
And there was only one scholarship you applied for and you received, or did you apply for multiple scholarships?
No, I applied for a lot. I applied for probably like 30 plus, because you can recycle your scholarship essays. And so I was just applying to whatever scholarship I could find. I was going to my guidance counselor, asking her, do you know any other scholarships I can apply to? Because some scholarships are actually state, some are local, and then some are more national, which is what the Gates Scholarship was. So I knew it was very competitive, and I didn't know I was going to get it, but I didn't
Mhm.
want to hinder my chance of getting into college by not applying to other scholarships, right? That would have been a little bit foolish on my end.
Yeah.
So I just applied for as many as I could. I recycled my scholarships. The Gates was the main one, but I was recycling my essays and changing the scholarship. You don't want to submit a scholarship for the
Yeah.
wrong one.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
I was changing the information, but my story never changed. I just told my story. I talked about what it was like growing up in public housing. I talked about the hardships that my mom faced after she lost her husband and our father. I talked about all of the things that I was, hoping to achieve with my life by going to school. And I just told the truth. I told my story, and it worked.
How about that? Well, congratulations on that.
Oh, thank you, Ash.
Yeah, you're so welcome. So you received this scholarship. So basically, let's get this correct in order. So
Yes,
first, you got an idea from somebody who was getting a scholarship.
yes,
Then you ask them the question as to did they actually get it, and how did they get it?
yes,
And then they give you all the steps that are necessary in order for you to receive that scholarship.
yes,
And then you followed those simple steps.
yes.
And then after that, you said, you know what? One's not enough for me. I need to have more. So you went for 30 more, 35 more scholarships, basically.
Well, I didn't know I was going to get it. So you have to apply
Yeah.
for all of these at the same time.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
you don't
Yeah.
want to risk it. So I was like, I don't want to risk not getting it and then not having money for school. So let me just apply for whatever else
Yeah.
is out
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Well, you're hedging your bet, right? And you're making
Yeah.
sure that you will get it because
Yeah.
so what this teaches us, Dr. Crystal, is that
Mm.
you came from a space of humble beginnings.
Yes.
You had a really amazing childhood, but at the same time, it was you saw what it is like, and you were hungry.
Yes.
And the very first thing, you knew that your mom, you want to study and you want to go to college,
Yes.
but you knew your mom couldn't afford it.
No,
So in order for this to work, you had to make it work. Like
yes.
you wanted to make this work for sure. And
Yes.
then you found a way. You basically manifested getting scholarship. Like literally you manifested getting scholarship. So that being said, when you got into this mode of like getting the scholarship, what was it like for you from a focus point of view?
Mhm.
In terms of like, because I'm sure you're balancing between getting scholarship, applying for it, writing the essays and things of the nature, and then you are also going to school at the same time. So how did you balance that life?
There was no balance. My senior year of
Uh-huh.
the first semester of my senior year of high school, I was in the library every day. We didn't have internet at home or Wi-Fi, so I had to use the public resources that were available in my hometown. And
Yeah.
so every day after school, I was either catching a ride to the public library or asking my mom or my sister to drop me off so that I could go apply for scholarships. And I did sacrifice a lot of the first half of my senior year. But to be honest, I wasn't going to be able to do a lot of it anyway. I grew up in a very strict household, so there wasn't much I could really do.
Yeah.
Aside for, put my head in the books and really dedicate myself to getting free money for school. So,
Yeah.
but you're right. Like during the whole time, I was seeing myself in the classroom. I was imagining what it would be like to walk around the college campus. I was just so I was deeply invested in seeing if this was possible for me that I did not have a plan B. There was no
Yeah.
plan B for me. So
Yeah. So basically, what you did there is, many times those of you are listening, you have a goal and you're trying to accomplish it,
yeah,
and your frequency level is so low that it's just not matching, and you're thinking, why am I not getting this done?
yeah.
And it's because you're not matching the frequency that's necessary in order for you to make it work. Like Crystal here obviously made sure that not only she applied for the scholarships, but she also applied herself, to making sure that she will receive the scholarship. So when people go for scholarships, what are some other places that they can go to get scholarships?
The best place I would suggest is Google. That was the first place I went.
Google. Okay.
Was I searched high school? I searched scholarships for high school seniors, and then I got even deeper and said scholarships for high school minorities, or
Mhm.
scholarships for people below the poverty level, or scholarships because I had really bad test scores. My ACT and SAT scores were awful. I have what's called as test anxiety. And
Mhm.
so I do well long term. Like my GPA was really high. I had a 4.1. But my ACT scores were so low. They were below average, like the
Mhm.
lowest I've ever seen.
Mhm.
So I didn't, I had to really leverage what I did have, which was
Yeah,
my other academic strengths.
I love that. And what college you ended up at?
Auburn University, War Eagle.
Oh, you're Eagle. Okay, great. I love that.
It was my number one choice.
I love that. Yeah, that's great. That's great. So now let's talk it through on this front about scholarship, right? So once you receive the scholarship and you got into college, were your friends actually jealous of you that you came in for free and they had to pay for it?
Oh, that is a good question because I don't know. Because it's funny that you asked that because I remember when the other student had got the scholarship, there were people. The only reason I found out about it is because people were talking bad about her and saying that the scholarship was racist or that she didn't deserve it. So maybe the same thing happened to me too. I just wasn't aware of it, and yeah, that's so interesting. Yeah, I wasn't aware of it if it did happen.
Okay, all right, fine. So how did your family members think about that? I'm sure they must be very proud of you to achieve that.
um, I think that my family members were I think they were happy. I know my mom, I called my mom and we were very thankful for it and we were praising God for, the opportunity for that. But I never talked to my other siblings about it. We're
Okay.
close, but we don't talk about like school related stuff. We kind of
School.
talk about, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I totally understand that. No, not a problem whatsoever, right? So, but your mom must be thrilled. She
Yeah.
it must be relieved for her.
Yeah, she really was. I think my mom was honestly that rock that I needed because she was, even though she, probably couldn't, give me the financial piece or the financial support, she was always there praying with me. She was
Hmm.
always there encouraging me whenever things got bad because even though I had this money to go to school, that was just one piece of the puzzle. Like I didn't know there was a whole emotional and mental aspect of being a success in college. Like you really have to manage so much as a college student. College students are under a lot of pressure, and I wasn't prepared for that. That was something I had to learn along the way. So I needed a support system, and my mom was that for me.
Yeah, that's great. I'm so happy to hear that. I
Yeah.
can totally understand. Many times we have a daughter and she's
Yeah.
26 and she's going to be a doctor
Yeah.
like you, and she talks to her mom all the time.
Yes, that was me.
Yeah, they're always like glued to each other and they're always talking to each other and having conversations.
Yeah.
But I think it's important in the early stage of your life, childhood, to have that bond with your parents, whether it's mom or dad,
Yeah.
or both for that matter. So it's crucial to have that. And what role did that play in your ability to stay focused and tenacious and really get after a scholarship?
Yeah, I think it played a crucial role. I think my relationship also with my mom got stronger after I went to college, because I did have to rely on her for a lot of emotional support. And so I was, like your daughter, I was always calling and always just talking. Sometimes it just helps to just talk about what you're going through. And so even though my mom probably didn't understand the firsthand experience I was having, because, being a first generation college student, there's a lot that you have to navigate and learn firsthand. But she was always reminding me of my strengths. She was always reminding me of my capability, and that's important to have. So I think that was the main role, is that she was constantly reminding me of who I am, and you need that when you can't see it for yourself.
Yeah, yeah, I totally understand that, and I would agree with that. That you have to have a parent that you are really relying on,
Yeah.
because they serve as your root chakra, they serve as your base, they serve
Mm.
as the comfort and stability that you are
Yeah.
looking for to a good degree, and grounding, especially being as a daughter, you're looking for that grounding because you had the intellect and you had, the sixth chakra really amazingly well developed, where you use your intellect in your favor, but more importantly you used your third chakra, which is a in a go-getter mentality, and like really just making sure that and to secure, to top it off, like you did such a great job by not just applying for one scholarship. You applied for 30 scholarships to really make it work, and I think that's amazing. I think
Because
that's
I was, well, I was getting a lot of rejection letters in between. So every time I would get rejected from one scholarship, I was just, like, okay, I'll apply for two more.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
But I love how you take everything back to our energy centers, because I had studied like chakras before, but I never made the connection between them and your success in life and how you operate. I just knew that they were energy centers in the body. But that's so cool how you were able to bring that back to that root chakra and back to the staying grounded. And yeah, that's so amazing, Ash.
Yeah, thank you for that.
Yeah.
So I really appreciate that. Thank you. So as you went through this journey, and your siblings, obviously, so your brothers and sisters, and now you guys are on this amazing journey
Yeah.
of starting a business, correct?
Yes.
And you're a doctor now,
Mm.
and you're also starting this amazing journey of having your own business and moving things forward. So tell us a little bit about what business you are starting. What's the name of your business?
Yeah, so the name of our business is Seven Sisters and Company. So it's named after the seven girls in our family.
Okay.
And it's a holistic health and beauty company. So one of my six sisters is actually a licensed master cosmetologist and esthetician. She's also a celebrity hairstylist. She's been doing hair for over 20 years. I say longer, but she's been doing it professionally for over 20 years because she did all of our hair. But I basically partnered with her. She's our COO, and she basically is over all of our product formulation. And I went to her after I graduated college and asked if she wanted to start this. We had no idea that it was going to turn into what it is now. We just had a vision for providing products, and plant-based products at that, sustainable products. And yeah, it's almost been a year. Next month it'll be a year on the first. And it's
Wow.
yeah, it's been a beautiful journey.
Amazing. Congratulations, my friend.
Oh,
That's
thanks,
amazing.
Ash.
Amazing. Amazing. So when it comes to, and then you also are thinking about a second company with your brothers, right?
Three
What is that
brothers
going to
and
be called?
it'll be Three Brothers and Co. But only because we keep getting so many questions about this. Like, men will message us and say, "Hey, do you guys have anything for men?" And you can use our products. Our products can be used on all hair types and skin types, but men want something for them. And so my sisters and I were talking about creating Three Brothers and Company and selling beard oils and different things like that, and to help men with also like balding and also shedding. And so it's interesting to see that people are asking for that already, and we haven't even got Seven Sisters on, in
Yeah,
full flight yet. But
yeah,
it's
yeah,
cool to see that there's an ask for it. So yeah.
yeah. Absolutely. And I will tell you, like, those of you who don't know, today I have what I have on my hair is theirs. So I put it from Seven Sisters. I'm just kidding. But that being said,
I was gonna say, yeah, your hair looks good actually, very thick.
yeah, thank you. Just kidding, okay. But that being said, as you are starting this company, tell us what is so unique. Why did you start the company? What is the main mission behind the company and the vision that you guys have?
Yeah, so I guess what my sisters and I were really seeing was that a lot of women, especially like African American women, we didn't have products created for our hair type. Everything,
Mm,
most of the things on the market are filled with chemicals and toxins that you just don't need, and they actually weren't helping the health of our hair, right? So your hair is an extension actually of your nervous system, which is interesting. Which is why when you're dealing with excessive stress and different other stressors, you'll start to see your hair. Also be affected by that. So what I brought was the holistic health and the public health aspect of it, and also dealing with how you feel about how you look, right? So your self-image impacts every part of how you operate. It's your awareness, it's your bringing it back to the chakra, your identity chakra, right? So everything that you do stems from how you feel and how you think about who you are, and our hair plays a key aspect in that. And so I was bringing that angle while my older sister was bringing the angle of the health, and she wanted to create products because she's been doing this for over 20 years. So she sees the products, she uses them, and she was just like, we need something a lot better. So she used plant-based products to help my other sister with balding, and I used it for my own health because I was dealing with shedding when I was in grad school, really stressed out. Like my hair did not look thick like this. It was very thin, very short. And I used plant-based products to grow it out. And then people kept asking me what products I used, and I told them I made it. And then they asked me if I could make some for them, and it went from there.
I love that. So when it comes to the products are concerned, and you guys are making plant-based products, how are you making? Are you making them at home, or do you have a co-packer or in a factory, or how do you do it?
Yeah, so we definitely manufacture in house. There's seven of us. So between all of us, we have enough people on the line to get things done. But it's cool because we have one sister manufacturing at home and then another, and we have our SOPs, our standard operating procedures. And so everything is streamlined to where they know exactly what order to put the products in. So we use an oil blend, and we use plant based oils like argan oil, different oil blends that we use to infuse the herbs. And we use a traditional method called cold infusion. So sometimes when you see people infuse herbs into oils, they'll boil it over the stove top, but the herbs actually lose a lot of key and vital nutrients in that process. So we went back to the basics. We use a traditional method to infuse our oil blends. And it's really cool because our great great grandfather, he was a farmer. He was in agriculture back in the Reconstruction era, and he had over 111 acres of land selling plants and different crops. So it's just cool to see that this is still in our bloodline.
Wow. So it's all
Yeah.
kind of coming back, and it really is
Yeah,
a grounding experience. I love that.
it really
Absolutely love
is.
that.
It
I love that.
really, eventually we want to have our own herbs. Like we want to have our own land and source our, because right now we're using, outside manufacturers who
Yep.
ethically source their herbs, but we would eventually like to grow our own herbs.
I think it's amazing, and the way you are building this out, it is so beautiful. So when it
Oh,
comes
thanks.
to these products are concerned, do they? How long do they last when people put it on? And I know nothing about hair except
Yeah.
I get my hair cut, and that's about it. That's all I know about hair. Okay, but
Yeah.
so but how long can they keep it on, or like what are some of the obstacles that you see that your product overcomes that other products don't?
Yeah, so it all depends on the type of hair issues that the customer is dealing with. So we've had some customers who left a review who said, so one woman from California, she was using it on her husband. She said that her husband was dealing with like balding in the front. And she said twice, I think she said either 2 to 3 times a week, she would massage the oil on his scalp. And she noticed within a couple of weeks that his hair actually started to grow in. And then we have some women who were dealing with just their hair at a stagnant, like not growing. But your
Mhm.
hair is growing. It's just sometimes if your hair is breaking off faster than it's growing, then it'll appear that your hair isn't growing. And so our herbs actually help with length retention. So a lot of women have seen their hair actually get longer from using our products. So it just depends on what issue you're dealing with. But they're clean products, so you can't get it wrong. Like you can't hurt yourself using it. So if you use it every day, it's fine. But I would say just you have to kind of test the product to see what your hair needs because your hair is very unique. And so for me, I use the products once a week, and it helps thicken my hair because I used to deal with very thin hair. So it just depends on what the client is looking for.
I love that. And so in terms of your business is concerned, like you look for scholarship for your college.
Yes.
What is the scholarship you're looking for your business?
So we have been looking at some small business loans. Because technically we are considered a small business and there are several small business loans available. But the first year of business, we have been focusing on getting our systems down and our standard operating procedures so that when we do get this grant money and when we do get these business loans, we know how to allocate that money. So right now, everything is being reinvested. So we
Yeah.
actually broke past. So the amount of money it took us to start up, the initial startup costs, we've surpassed that now in sales, which is beautiful in the first year. I know some businesses who do even 3 times that, which is beautiful for them.
Mm.
But this is where we are with ours. So we've gotten to a good place as far as like keeping our business viable. But we're still kind of honing in on our business systems because you don't want to grow with a shaky foundation.
No.
I don't feel comfortable growing on a shaky foundation because I feel like it would leave more room for a breakdown. And I'd rather build it slow and I'd rather build it mindfully and
Mm.
intentionally more important. So this is where we are. We're just building and reinforcing those that foundation for our company.
And as you're talking about it, so think about the time of the high school.
Yeah,
As you talk to somebody and it was possible for you to get funding,
yeah,
and then you did 9 essays
yeah.
and you went for 30 plus places, and what's interesting is you're doing the same thing, here.
I never thought of it that way, Ash, but you're making some really profound connections.
You see, so what I'm saying to you guys is, those of you who are listening, I want you to know that whenever you do something, and yes, it is difficult for you. You might be in high school, or you might have a son or daughter about to go to high school, or you're a parent who is just struggling. Look, you're doing this because you want to really get scholarships for your children. And you might think it's difficult. And you know what? It is going to be a little bit difficult because you have to actually apply yourself to get it done. But imagine the skills you will gain. Imagine the skills you have that you are currently using energetically internally. You might be a very creative person. In Crystal's case, it was a little different. She was a go-getter, and she was a rambunctious child. And so, thankfully, she was a go-getter. She just went for it. And she was also using her third eye chakra, which is a sixth chakra, which is right here. And she was using those two, but you might be using something different. It doesn't matter. At the end of the day, you're doing your best in this section, and then later on down the road, you or your children, right, when you teach them how to get scholarship properly, and let them endure that hard work and the dedication, and to really achieve that. And once they achieve that, the feeling of achievement is so great.
Mhm.
And then once they get out of that, they will get to use that skill down the road, just like Crystal is using right now, in her business. Is a crucial to know that be resourceful, be
Yeah.
grounded, these are important characteristics, and that's what Crystal is pointing out here as she is growing her business, and now she's looking for grant money for business, right? And she's
Yes.
looking for, right, and basically, look, y- people say, Crystal, that money is only available one way, right? Which is, go to, like, do something, and get a job, okay, or do something and get a business, or, like, it's only one way. So what people are saying is money is available for me this way, okay, but if it comes from this way, I'm going to stop it,
Mm.
or if it comes from this way, I'm going to stop it, or if it comes from the top or the back or the down or the front or the back, like, if it comes from different directions, I'm going to stop that money.
Mm.
And what you did there is you did not stop it. You said, okay, welcome, welcome. In Indian philosophy, we believe in goddess Lakshmi. So we have a goddess for that, by the way,
Yeah.
avatar goddess Lakshmi, and and we pray to that. So this goddess Lakshmi, it is a beautiful goddess, obviously. And so what you are saying to goddess Lakshmi, or money, the energy of money, you're saying welcome. Doesn't matter where you come from.
Yeah.
Right? You can come from in the form of, you know cash flow. You can come in the form of grant. You can come in form of, high, like, having business, and maybe diversify your business somehow. But you're saying welcome. Doesn't matter which one it is, just welcome. And that is the beautiful part about this journey that you're talking about. And when you are talking about this, I can see the passion in you. So first of all, congratulations for that.
Oh, thank you, Ash. It's because I love this. I really do, because I feel like if something that we went through can help someone else, then why hoard that information? Someone helped me, someone shared information with me. So my obligation is to continue giving.
Yeah, I mean, like, and you are giving to everybody, and you are making a difference in other people's lives as you're talking about your journey, and as you're talking about your business. So when it comes to your business, as you are growing your business, what are some of the obstacles you have seen that you feel like they almost mirror the scholarship time?
This is really a good question. um, the main thing, so a lot of people say that when you start a company, it's very spiritual. And that's because when you start a company, you really have to look at everything within you that is blocking, like you said, that abundance, that wealth, that money. You have to look at everything in you that is keeping you in a mindset that you're not deserving of even building a company or going after those scholarships. So during that time when I was applying for scholarships, even though I had a vision, right? Like even though I was determined to get the money, there was still a part of me that didn't believe that when I would get that money, because I was honestly still listening to the voices of people telling me that it was impossible for me, telling me to look at my family situation, look at where you come from. People like you don't do stuff like this. And I guess there's still some residual fear around that, because no one in my immediate family, like even though my ancestors were successful as business owners, I never had a conversation with them. I've never seen them. So it's almost like you're unlocking a part of your DNA that's lying there dormant. And that takes you to go internal. That takes you to go inward, and that takes a lot of courage to do. And I'm still learning. I'm still evolving, and sometimes I get afraid that and I hope that I'm able to do what it is and to manifest his vision. But I don't want to do it in the same way I did before. When I was applying for scholarships, I was doing that because I was desperate, 100%. It was either go to school or nothing else for me. But now I'm building this company, and we're building this company because this is what we truly love to do. Like this is a lifelong journey. Going to school was one part of my chapter. That was my 20s. This is my forever. So it's a different energy and it's a different intention, but it's very similar in the fact that you have to face your internal narrative.
I love that. And the best part about this
Mm.
is that you get to give yourself a gift of the biggest scholarship that you have ever received. So the question is, how big of a scholarship you want to receive this time?
Whew. I don't know my own potential. I've seen it by working with you. It's large.
Okay.
I would like for our company to receive a scholarship that is big enough for us to sustain for generations. And so I've seen similar companies. Like I follow a lot of business owners, like the founder of Spanx, right, Sarah Blakely. Like her story is amazing. She never took a grant. She never took investors. Everything she did, she never ran a commercial until maybe a decade into her growing her company. She maintained 100% ownership. That's what I would like for Seven Sisters and Company. I would like our family to maintain 100% scholarship. So if grants come in, that's beautiful. But as far as investors, I don't know. Like we still have to maintain 100% of our company, and it's
Yeah.
possible. So the
Yeah.
scholarship, the free money that we would like to get would hopefully be in the seven figures, so
In
that
the
we can
seven figures.
continue. Yeah.
I love that. Well, cash flow is a scholarship in this case, right? Cash
Yeah.
flow is a scholarship. So first of all, I want to say congratulations to you and your
Thank
sisters and your brothers soon, and your mom and your dad, like for really doing a phenomenal job. So
you.
congratulations to the whole family. And I want to say thank you, Dr. Krishna. I really appreciate it. I love the story that you have, like seven sisters, three brothers, mom and dad passes away, your mom continues on with a total resilience, and then you guys come in the back, and then you just take it on and
Yeah.
really build that legacy that's necessary. And so anything is possible. Those of you who are listening, I want you to know that anything is possible. Anything is possible. Like, you just have to apply yourself. So what we have learned today is very, very simple. Dr. Crystal, first of all, made a decision to get a scholarship. She heard about it someplace. It was a whisper, so she was really open. So very first thing is, where whatever you're doing, you have to be open minded enough to say, okay, you know what, it's possible, and believe in that magic. Whoever you believe in as your spiritual mentor, and just believe in the magic, and just be open minded. Step number one. Step number two, Dr. Crystal took. So she took it in. She had open heart. So she took it from the fourth chakra, and she took it from that, and she said, I'm going to keep my heart open. Then she said, okay, now I'm going to get some information. So she went to her sixth chakra, and she went to this person and say, okay, how does this work? And she got all the information, how to's. And when she did that, she's like, is it possible? The answer is yes, check. And if the answer is yes and the check mark is made, then she went to work and say, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to get it for myself. And she used her third chakra, and she said, I'm going to get to work. And then she went with it, but most importantly, she stuck with it, with her root chakra, not getting into the spiral when she got rejected into fear and anxiety. Instead, she said, okay, this give me one more chance, this give me one more chance, this give me one more chance. And she kept on going, and she applied for 30 different scholarships, and she received $650,000. So, Dr. Crystal, do you know that every scholarship you applied for, even though they did not pay you, not everybody paid you, right?
Mhm.
30 scholarships you applied for. Every time you made that application, you made $21,666.
Wow.
Every scholarship. Yes, you took so you wrote an essay, like
Yeah.
nine different essays one time. You made some changes, okay, and then you applied for that. So you built a system that
Yes.
is sustainable, and you just went with a literally just applied for a whole bunch of scholarships. And by applying for 30, you
Yeah.
received $650,000. That means each scholarship provider, when they said no, they paid you $21,666. That every time you said, thank you for the 21,000. 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 And that's the attitude you took. So, my friend, congratulations to you. I'm
Thank you
very,
very
very
much.
happy for you. Dr. Crystal, please tell people where, as they're listening to this podcast, where can they get in touch with you?
Yes. First of all, thank you so much, Ash, for that, because I never calculated it that way. This is why it helps to have people in your community. But you can find me on my website. Everything that I do, I post on my hub, my website. It's crystaltharrell.com. and everything that I do is on there. My blog, my educational blog, my books. My latest book I'm working on now is called Butterflies Everywhere, and the subtitle is Turning Difficult Transitions into Beautiful Transformations. And I wrote it during this transformation in my life about graduating, starting a job, walking away from that job, starting a company, taking on a new job. So there's a lot happening. There's a lot of transformations, but the growth has just been immense. I also have free resources there for students who are looking to just dive a little bit more into the process of applying for scholarships as well as applying for grad school programs. So I have a lot of resources that hopefully are beneficial for students looking for extra support.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you so much for that, and thank you for sharing that information. And those of you are listening to this podcast, I want to say thank you so much for following me. I truly appreciate you. Be sure to like, comment, and share this podcast, and let me know what kind of information you like to know next time when we get on a podcast. So I would say thank you so much for listening to, and thank you for coming to Financial Chakras Abundance Through Alignment. And it is my wish to the universe that may it give you all the health, wealth, and happiness that you deserve. Namaste and thank you.